Hello and welcome to another episode of A Slice of Health, the Candid Health Chat podcast, where we slice away health truth from health fiction. Join me and my friends as we challenge common health myths via chit chat, powered by several cups of coffee. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, and do visit us at asliceofhealth.club. Let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to A Slice of Health, where health comes alive with bite-sized health education to keep you moving and become your own health champion, with stories that heal and knowledge that empowers. But before we jump into our topic for today, I want to tell you a story. Philip is a 27-year-old man who has recently started to take his health and wellness a bit more seriously. Due to this, he has started following influencers and gym coaches online who have made recommendations for the kind of exercises that he should do to become more fit and live a healthier lifestyle. Part of this includes changes to his diet as well as lifting weights and taking protein shakes. However, the change to his diet has started making his mother and father increasingly concerned. Philip has become a carnivore, according to him. He is eating what he calls a carnivore diet. His mother feels that this sounds rather extreme, and she's worried that he's not eating any vegetables or fruits, as she has always felt that it was one's responsibility to eat the rainbow for a balanced diet. Philip, however, has been reading a lot about the carnivore diet, and the coaches that he has been following have recommended that this is the best thing for him to be able to have the kind of life and the kind of protein build up that he desires. So, what exactly should we tell Philip? And what exactly is a carnivore diet? The Harvard Medical School describes a carnivore diet as one that is a meal plan that allows only the intake of meat, poultry, seafood, fish, eggs, and water. Sometimes it accepts and permits dairy products. However, in many situations, it does not. In a carnivore diet, no one is allowed to eat vegetables, fruits, grains, seeds, nuts, beans, or anything of the like. This means that the carnivore diet is a fully zero carb diet. Now, this sounds probably similar to something you might have heard of as a keto diet. Keto is short for ketogenic. And the carnivore diet actually does fall into the category of keto. However, most keto diets encourage the intake of things like nuts and legumes in certain situations. So the carnivore diet is designed to try to get the body into what we call a ketogenic state, where it starts releasing more ketones as opposed to glucose. Then, as ketones are released into the blood, the idea is that it will balance the blood, putting it into the state of ketosis and encourage weight loss as well. Now, the challenge with this diet and with many keto diets is that they have the capacity to increase what we call bad cholesterol. Bad cholesterol is often referred to as LDL cholesterol. And in the long term, when these levels of LDL cholesterols are elevated, it can increase the risk of having different forms of heart disease. However, other long-term conditions and concerns associated with a carnivore diet in the long term includes things like kidney stones, include things like gout, includes things like osteoporosis as well. And that is because the very high protein intake has the capacity to affect the kidneys. So what should we say to Philip? What exact kind of advice should we be giving him, given the fact that his mother and father are quite concerned? First, let's talk about the perceived benefits of this carnivore diet. Many of its followers feel that it helps them maintain better weight, it helps them with their digestion, and it simplifies their eating habits. And as I mentioned earlier, they believe that it significantly balances their blood sugar levels. However, in addition to the kidney concerns that we mentioned, there are other things that can arise within a carnivore diet that can be detrimental to one's health and well being. These include deficiencies in vitamins, antioxidants, and minerals that the body needs. As I mentioned, also the heart considerations because of the high amount of bad cholesterol that increases on a carnivore diet. Also, constipation due to the lack of fiber and changes in how our gut behaves as well when there's no fiber. If you remember, we recently discussed the role of fiber in reducing the risk of bowel cancer in some situations. Socially, also eating only a carnivore diet can become also challenging as well. So, who should avoid eating a carnivore diet? People who have heart disease, people who might be pregnant or breastfeeding, children, and anyone that doesn't have specific medical review and recommendation for such a significantly restrictive diet. The challenge with being on such a tight and restricted diet, firstly, is the extreme that it can cause to the body in terms of the negative consequences that we mentioned, but also the challenges that it causes a person if one finds that they're unable to stick to such a restricted diet. One of the most important things that we recommend when trying to make lifestyle changes or improve lifestyle is to adopt habits that can be maintained in the long term. So when we say long term, we're talking about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. A diet that doesn't have such a strict regime, but then also a diet that doesn't have so many negative consequences attached to it. A diet that you can use and utilize and maintain that helps and gives you, like Philip's mother said, a plate that looks like a rainbow because it has all the vitamins in whole form as well. Another thing to note about the carnivore diet is that there isn't a lot of research that shows the benefits of this as well. In some situations, they have seen that elimination diets, so diets that remove certain food groups, can be beneficial in people who have certain autoimmune conditions. However, there isn't much else that gives us direct application and direct use as to how safe this is for the general population. So, what we would recommend to Philip is to speak with his doctor about this, especially if he doesn't have any underlying clinical concerns that would make him need to be on a carnivore diet. Really helping him to understand the importance and the challenges that can be associated with the carnivore diet, as well as the risk factors associated to the rest of his body. But the most important thing is to encourage him to be aware that extreme diets, firstly, often have limited scientific backing, and secondly, don't often have long term safety or efficacy associated with them. So, we would recommend reaching for a diet that is more balanced, working with a registered dietitian to identify specific group and food sensitivities of what he might want to avoid while aiming for a wholesome, full, and balanced diet. There you have it. That's it for me from today. Until I'm back in your ear tomorrow.
with stories that heal and knowledge that empowers. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Remember that this podcast in no way replaces the advice you receive from your own doctor or physician. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. Leave us a review on iTunes so that others can access the amazing content. And don't forget to be a health champion wherever you are by separating health fact from health fiction.